And we're live. Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Get Busy with Kit and Jim. Wow, hard to believe, man. We are deep in the holiday season. I guess it's snowing and blowing in some places already. So we're getting ready to spread some Get Busy cheer here this morning. We're super happy to have Yuhannes Watts with us on the show. He's one of few people that I know who's got his LinkedIn mojo together. I mean, seriously, you guys are going to get a lot out of today's show. He's really killing it over there on LinkedIn. So, and if you're like a lot of us, man, I don't know about you, but sometimes I just looked at LinkedIn cross-eyed and I'm like, what am I going to do with this platform? It just doesn't seem intuitive. It's not quite like Facebook. It's definitely not like Google Plus, and get a little bit twisted sometimes figuring out like how to do business on LinkedIn. And it's crucial. It's the social media platform for business. Designed for uh, using business effectively. And so it's a platform that any of us who have any interest at all in business, as an entrepreneur, um, or even if you're just in the workforce, it's a great platform to get to know, but it can be a little bit confusing. But today, we have somebody who's going to cut through all that confusion for us and bring it. So without any further ado, I introduce you to Yuhannes Watts. Good morning, Yuhannes. How's it going?
James, good morning to you and Krithika, sorry, Krithika, and very pleased to be on the show.
Well, we are super pleased to have you today to talk about LinkedIn. And Kit, my partner in crime, good morning. How's it going?
Good morning. It's Chicago's one of those places where it's snowing and blowing
Chi-town. Oh,
and
man.
hate it. But Tuesdays are always my favorites. Always brings a big smile onto my face. And like I was just saying in the prep, I mean, I love social media, but I never understood how to leverage LinkedIn. So it's really great to have somebody, as approachable as Johannes here to help us and give us some tips and tricks and insights. So yeah, I'm really excited, and because I'm a writer, so I've been told that LinkedIn can be extremely useful for a writer. So I'm really interested to leverage that platform for sure. So welcome to our show.
Thank you. And Krithika, should I call you Krithika or Kit going forward?
I love it when you say Kritika, so go ahead.
It's going to make it hard on me, I'm just kidding.
This is $500,000 worth of information, so we got to make it a little hard for you.
Yeah. So one little ditty that I forgot to leave out. Anybody who's watching the show today, you're going to get billed at the end of this show, and it'll be like 500K or something outrageous like that.
Got
For
to
all of the
mention
great,
everything.
yeah, for all the great,
Stuff.
right, for all the great info that Johannes is going to impart on us. So, you know what? On this show, Johannes, we like to, before we get into the nitty gritty of the topic of the show, we'd like to really get to know our guests. It's really super important, and as you know, people do business with people whom they know, like, and trust, and we're hoping one way or another that you do get some business props or something out of this show. So maybe if you could start out by telling us just a little bit about who Johannes is, where you came from, and like what has inspired you to become who you are today.
Great question. Thank you for asking. I was just reading an article this morning that I found in LinkedIn, a lot of great professional articles, and especially with the blogs now, you're not just getting the cut and dry business article, you're getting a lot of more insights from entrepreneurs like myself and you guys. But the article was saying, we're entrepreneurs made or born. And for me, I was made. I was in college. I was just barely getting by. I just wanted to get a job and put on a suit and tie like everybody else just to make my parents proud and be able to pay back my student loans. And I almost flunked out of college just because I was not engaged in all of the electives that you have to take for the first 2 years. And I met a teacher in my junior year who encouraged me to read the book The Millionaire Next Door. And reading that book really changed my life because the book highlighted that the average millionaire in the U.S. is not like a Donald Trump and all these mega billionaires that you see. It basically said that America's wealth is held with the small business owners, the guy that owns a junkyard, a small consulting business, a cleaning company, a landscaping company, graphic design company, a website, whatever. So in the back of the book was really interesting. It had this index with 100 top small businesses that Americans have, and one of the businesses in there was a janitorial company. So fast forward, I graduated in December 2002. I was working a job, and again, another book that kind of changed my direction was reading Robert Kiyosaki's famous book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. So one of the things that I took away from that book was they said that if you needed extra income, start a part-time business, don't get a part-time job. So with that advice, I thought over it. I ended up starting a commercial cleaning company. Back to that book, a janitorial services company. So I still have the cleaning company today. Does over $1 million in revenue. But from that, my experience of owning a cleaning company, my failures, my challenges, that's where I really learned the ropes of being an entrepreneur, and I was able to take those lessons. And when I started Learn to Link, just 2.5 years ago, almost 3 years ago, the acceleration of growth and revenue and business lessons has been a lot faster in my second business because basically I learned everything in the last 8 to 10 years from my other business, which has taken me a long time. So again, started out just your average Joe, barely made it through college, but realized that entrepreneurship was something I was engaged in and interested me and challenged me to want to be successful at it, especially coming from a family where nobody in my family owns a business. Again, being African American, a lot of times you don't see enough African Americans, minorities succeeding in the business world. So something I was very determined to be successful at.
Yeah, hey, and Johannes, kudos to you because it's hard enough to be an entrepreneur. A lot of very successful entrepreneurs come from a lineage of entrepreneurs. Maybe their father owned a restaurant or their father owned a business. And I think it's a lot easier because you're kind of trained up in how to be an entrepreneur, but to come from a family that's not an entrepreneur and deciding to become one it's a challenge in and of itself. So speaking of challenges, I'm wondering, what have been some of your biggest life challenges? And we'll get into your successes later, but what have been some of your biggest life challenges, and what were the lessons that you learned from these challenges in your life?
Yeah, great question. And again, you're seeing on LinkedIn or wherever you get your information from, you're seeing a lot of trending articles based on failing to succeed or why failure is so important to being an entrepreneur, right? So we're seeing a lot more of these articles, and I think it's great that people are opening up and telling you what their road was to success, how many times they failed, what their biggest challenges were, what their mistakes were. Everybody has them. It's just having that determination and the kind of that wherewithal to overcome those challenges. So for me, I would probably say the biggest thing that I realized when I first started my cleaning business was at some point we all start a business, right? Or not all of us, but when we start a business, we're so gung-ho about starting that business. And a couple things that I had to realize. The first couple of years that I was running my cleaning business, I was cleaning multiple locations by myself, and I want to actually take a step back and say that I was working a full-time job at this time. So back to Robert Kiyosaki's book, Get a Part-Time Business, the reason why I selected a cleaning business is because if you think about it, if you work in an office, you work in the office from 9 to 5, you leave around 5 or 6, the cleaning staff comes in around 6 or 7 and cleans in the evening. So it was something that I could do at night. So I started off that business working a full-time job at Hertz Car Rental. I get off around 5:36. I go put on my Mr. Clean outfit, and I was cleaning a lot of locations myself for the first year until I found a couple of people to start cleaning them for me, but I was still going around checking every location by myself. I was delivering checks, every couple of weeks, hand to hand. So, it was crazy. But I say that to say the first couple of years I was just running on fumes. I didn't care whether I made money that month, that quarter. I was just so happy to have a business. And at some point you realize that the business is a tool that's supposed to help you with your goals. We start a business because we want to make more income. We start a business because we want to have more time and flexibility, and we want to be the boss and more control over our time. But I think for many entrepreneurs, including myself, we end up realizing that the business takes over your life, and you become addicted to the business succeeding, even though you may not be succeeding. So at some point, I had to make a determination that if I was going to do this business, it had to support my goals of giving me enough income so I could get a house, so I can get married, so I can support my family. So making that decision that you're not just going to have a business, but you're going to have a business that's profitable and gives you the type of income so that you can live the life that you want to live. I think that's a very important decision that a lot of entrepreneurs have to make. The business is something that serves you. You're not a slave to your business. Other business, instead of having a job, people don't like a job. They don't like coming in, listening to the boss and all these other, coming in, and leaving when the boss says, and all this other stuff. But you end up just owning a job, right? When you own a business, you just own a job. So I had to make that determination. Second thing I quickly learned, which is very valuable, is that when you own a business, you are the #1 salesperson in your business. And I'm going to say that again. You are the #1 salesperson in your business. You're not a bit. This is the way I had to look at it. I don't own a cleaning company. I sell cleaning contracts. If I don't sell a cleaning contract, I'm not going to make enough money to live my life. You can't just own a cleaning business and say, I'm a business owner. We all have to sell something to live. That's why this concept of selling something, people say if you're at a job, you're selling yourself, you're marketing yourself. Well, even if you're looking for a job, you're selling something. You're selling the fact that you're going to be an asset to this organization. Well, when you have a business, especially in the B2B, if you're selling a service, training services, consulting services, coaching services, writing services, blogging services, website services, graphic design services, whatever, you've got to sell that service. So I quickly realized after starting my cleaning business that yes, I had the guts to start a business, but I really didn't know how to sell anything. So I was working at my full-time job. I left that for a little while to run my cleaning business full-time, and that's when I realized I didn't know how to sell anything. All the business that I got to that point had been through happenstance. Somebody found my website. Somebody found me in the yellow pages. I had not actually developed any business myself. It didn't come from me initiating any business. So I had to swallow my pride. When we talk about the challenges, during this 4 months that I left my job and was doing my business by myself, I was not making any money. And, the wife starts coming home, grumbling at you, looking at you, it's like no more business. What's going on here? What's the plan? So then came the words that I hated to hear. Why don't you go back and look for another job? I said, oh man, So yeah, I had to swallow my pride and say, I really didn't know how to sell anything. So my whole way of thinking was, if I'm going to go back and get a job, I'm going to get paid to learn something that I don't know so that I can bring it back to my business. So for the next 6 years, I had a job in the office supply world where I wasn't working in the retail store. I was in the B2B department, and I was knocking on your door trying to get you to buy our office supplies off your website and give you business pricing and contract pricing. And I was knocking on doors and office parks, and I was cold calling, and I was telemarketing, and I was networking. And that's when I really learned the world of B2B sales. That's when I learned what a prospect was, what a sales pipeline was, what a CRM system was, what networking was, what closing the deal is, how to do a proposal. That's where I really learned the sales game. So again, it was recognizing what you don't know and making a decision that, look, there's organizations out there we can go, and now I'm going to go and be employed with a purpose, but I'm going to bring those skills back to my business to help me succeed. So, business got to be profitable and support my life, and I gotta find out what I don't know, which is the most important skill that all of us need, is the ability to sell.
Yeah, wow. Some great epiphanies you had and some great learnings to share with us. So I know sales sometimes, even for a lot of entrepreneurs, it's tough and it makes people squirm a little
The
bit.
S word, the S word, right?
Yes, right? The S word. So how did you like overcome, because I'm sure you're just like anybody else, do you know what I mean, before you kind of dive into the world of sales. It's all like squeamish and squirmy, and it makes you feel a little bit uncomfortable. I think because it's almost like the spam of the internet when you're trying to sell. So how did you like overcome that, and and maybe what are some tips that you can give our audience to maybe feel a little bit more comfortable about sales, and some tips to do it, to approach it and to do it a little bit better.
Sure, and I should probably ask for a commission from this guy. Get ready to plug his book. I don't even know what the guy's name is, but I know there's a book out there called "To Sell Is Human," something like that. And that is right, because again, it doesn't matter if you're a farmer and you go to the market and you got to sell your pears and your oranges and your carrots, but that's how we live. I mean, if you think about it, in the economy back in the day, whether it's ancient times or whatever, just before the Industrial Revolution, most people were farmers or working on a farm. So you got to sell your goods and services. You got to contract out your services. So selling is human. We shouldn't be ashamed of it. I think I have a lot of conversations with a lot of small business entrepreneurs, and we're all networking, so at the end of the day we can get a sale. We want to meet the right person, develop a business opportunity, and build that relationship and take that pathway to a sale. But we're not networking just to be networking and to be collecting business cards to stack up on our desk. There should be an end goal to networking, which is strategically building relationships to sell our services to people that need them. So the first part of that equation is selling is okay. It's okay. It doesn't have to be sleazy. I don't have to be the sales guy with the slick back hair and hey, want my product? Hey, ooh, it doesn't have to be sleazy. We all need to make a living. You and the person you're selling to, they have to sell something too. So that's the first part of it. The second part of that is you want to be able to find the people that need your services. If you're pushing your products and services on people that don't need them, that's where it can get a little, squeamish. The other thing is the method that you use. Yeah, there are a lot of methods to get to the end goal, which is a sale. You can telemarket, right? There's people that sit in call centers all day and dial for dollars, right? Hi, can I speak to the person that makes the decision? Nope. Hi, can I speak to the person that makes? Nope. Hi, take me off the call list. Oh, click, right? So there's people that make 100, 200, 300, 400 calls a day just to try to get one appointment or make one sale. Even the guys that ask for donations for the policeman's fund and the fireman's fund, we all get those calls. They got to sell something too, right? So there's cold calling, right? I'm knocking on your door. I'm trying to get past the security guard, the secretary, to get to the decision maker. The secretary tells you the CEO's gone for the week, and then you see him walk by back there in the office. They're there. The gatekeepers are designed to keep you from the decision makers, because nobody likes salespeople, right? Even though all of us are salespeople, we hate salespeople, right? So you don't. And then there's knocking on doors, there's telemarketing, there's cold calling, there's networking, there's email. You can spam people, a bunch of things. There's a website, there's a bunch of ways to sell. So you have to find a way that's comfortable for you. You have to sell. When I was in sales, I didn't like those things. I didn't like telemarketing. I didn't like cold calling. I didn't like trying to get past the security guard in the big, nice building just to get up to the third floor. I distinctly remember one time when I did make it to the third floor, and I got in that little office, and I gave my business card to the front desk attendant, to the front desk lady, and she says, "Okay, well, I'll give your business card to the president when he gets back." And no sooner had I turned around to walk out the front door that I hear a little rattling sound, which was her throwing the business card in the trash can. So after experiences there's got to be, this is after a day of me knocking on doors in my territory. You got a lot of salespeople that are territory managers. You got to knock on doors and, try to get a face-to-face appointment, get past the decision makers. So again, that's another old school method that, along with telemarketing, a lot of the old school ways are getting played out. But for me, it was, I liked networking. I liked building relationships. I'm not a salesy sales guy. But again, even if that's going to be your strategy to selling, what I also see is a lot of small business owners have no networking strategy. They were like me when I first learned networking. They went to every networking event. They went to every chamber event. They went to every BNI. They went to every this, every that. The speed networking in the morning, the evening networking event at night. And I used to do 5 or 6 of them, 7 of them a week, and I just had stacks of business cards on my desk, and I had no more business to show for it. Right, but I did have a bunch of business cards though, right? So what's the goal? You can network and you can say you're selling, and I think I see a lot of salespeople, they replace sales activities with networking because it's kind of a soft activity. It's more fun. I don't necessarily have to pick up the phone and call anybody. I'm going to tell the boss I'm going to another networking event, but you're not getting any sales. So even again, if you want to make it in sales, you got to find your lane, you got to find your pathway to get there, but that way's got to be effective. So for me, that way became LinkedIn, where I use it as a supplemental tool when I'm at a networking event and I got your business card. I would come back, I would connect with you on LinkedIn, I'd chat it up, I'd go have coffee, I'd qualify the opportunity, and then you still got to ask the question: is there an opportunity here? So salespeople, you can't be afraid to sell what you have, and you can't be afraid to ask for the opportunity. If you just network and collect business cards and build relationships, you're kind of, if you can imagine like a dartboard, when you ask for the opportunity, that's that 10 mark in the middle. That's the bullseye. But anything else you're doing other than really asking for the opportunity are those circles around that bullseye. Okay, so it's not going to happen unless you ask, hey, can I get your business? Is there an opportunity here? Can you introduce me to the president of your company? You got to ask, are you and I going to do business? Do you need my service? Right? I mean, you can ask it in a nicer way than that, but the bottom line is if you're not asking the question, then you're really not trying to see how fast you can get to the sales opportunity. You're waiting for somebody to say, I've seen you a bunch of times, I've met you a bunch of times, I'm ready to do business with you. And sometimes people will ask, and I get a lot of inquiries from LinkedIn, but what people don't see is behind the scenes, I'm asking for the business also. So a lot of my opportunities are from me asking for the business, while the other half come from other sources. But if I wasn't asking for the business as many times as I was, I wouldn't be able to pay my mortgage, and my kids wouldn't have clean diapers right now. So you got to be bold. You got to ask for the freaking business.
Be bold. Hashtag be bold and ask for the freaking business. I love it.
Hashtag freaking business.
Yeah. Hashtag freaking business. Do your business. I love that. Great info, Yuhannes. So let's jump. Oh no, you know what? I wanted to ask you: can you think off of the top of your head? I'm going to put you on the spot here a little bit, but I'm sure it'll be super easy. Is there one like interesting or fun or kind of quirky sales success story that you have that you can share with us?
Quirky sales success. I mean, does it come from like the days when I was struggling, or does it come from like right now?
Whenever.
Quirky sales success story.
Like, man, I can't believe I got the sale by doing whatever.
To be honest with you, it's not quirky, but it's what I teach is that people don't realize that the sales conversation or the sales opportunity can be started by just asking a simple question. And that has to me, that just tickles me to death. It's literally so simple. The people that I train, even after the training session is over, they'll send me like another 2 or 3 emails, like in the days after, just ask me, are you sure I can just write like 5 words and somebody will like respond to me. I'm like, yeah, it's that simple. And you won't believe it until you try it. So one big thing that I learned is that, decision makers are busy, and if your reach out letter is it looks like a 2-book novel, then right, because it's like the only thing you personalized was, hi Mr. Fierce, and then you copy and pasted your standard like 5-paragraph reach out email. Hi, I'm in your area. I deal with a lot of customers just like you. My service is blah blah blah. When I see that crap, I just hit the delete button. I don't care if that's in email or in LinkedIn. And too many people are doing that in LinkedIn. It's so hilarious when I see it. So when I do the training and I literally show them, and I did this yesterday, and actually it happened real time during the training. I reached out to somebody and I showed them how to do it live on LinkedIn. I had my screen up and everybody could see it. No sooner than 3 minutes later did somebody write me back a couple paragraphs. All I wrote was like a one-liner, and they wrote me like 2-3 paragraphs back. And this was a lady. This is a decision maker from a Fortune 500 company. It just tickles me to death that when you show people how it's really done, they almost can't believe it because they're so used to doing it the wrong way. So, there's only a small amount of people in America, the 1%, right? So people picketing about the 1% out in New York and things like this. That's because the 1% are doing something that the 99% people aren't doing. And so the people that are on LinkedIn, they're just doing some very simple things. And when I say simple, I mean so simple your eyes will probably pop back into your head. They're so simple, the people just can't believe it. And I actually take them through my inbox and I show them what I'm doing. And I don't BS people. When I teach people on LinkedIn, I teach them exactly what I'm doing. I show them my messages. I show them the one-liner that got me an 8-liner back from a decision. They just can't believe it. That still just tickles me pink. I get most of my sales opportunities from writing people like 1 or 2 simple things, and that's what starts the conversation and the opportunity. So I absolutely love that. It never gets tiring to me.
That's awesome, and I'm the keep it simple, stupid kind of guy. So I love what you're feeding us here, Yuhannes. So we're going to jump into LinkedIn in just a second, but I want to throw it over to Kit and see if she has any comments or questions.
No, I was like nodding my head like because I could see a lot of myself in what he was saying. I absolutely hate networking. I mean, I hate it because I'm not bold enough to go and talk to somebody. And I remember being on this sales job. I just took just to pay bills when I was an intern in school or something, and I was so bad at it. I mean, she very sweetly told me, you know what, you're a really sweet person. You're not made for this. Can you please get out? So for me, and I guess that's one of the reasons LinkedIn scares me is because I know it requires a lot of guts to approach somebody maybe that you don't know already and say, hey, how can I help you, or this how I can help you, or whatever is your one-liner. So yeah, I think you busted a myth right away. LinkedIn is really not complicated. People make it complicated. It's actually very simple.
That's a very true statement. People make it complicated. When I go over the messaging sequence with people and just sending out that first message, I'm like, okay, yeah, you wrote the message. Just go ahead and hit the send button. We crafted the message. It looks great. And you just see the hesitation because, are you sure I can write this? And somebody will be. I'm like, trust me. I wouldn't tell you to do this if I haven't done it. I have 6,400 connections on LinkedIn. If I haven't done it thousands of times myself, I would never advise you. And they just, they overanalyze. Oh, they're looking for. I mean, if you guys looked at all the spelling mistakes that I made, and this is openly. We're not talking about like a private message I send you. When you look at my daily posts every day, especially because I suck at typing on the iPhone, every time I type on the iPhone, I make a freaking spelling mistake. So, but it's out in the open, and it's okay. Nobody calls me and says, you made a horrible spelling. People overanalyze. You forget that we're like, the person even though that person may be a Fortune 500 decision maker, they may be a VP or director or owner, whatever. They're people too. They have kids. They make spelling mistakes. They're not perfect. They probably hate selling. From their, it's too much. They lose the understanding of the people factor. And so they overanalyze. They haven't made it a habit to reach out. You won't realize it works. You won't realize anything works until you do it and you see that it works for yourself. I can tell you, I can show you, I can make a movie about it. You can watch the movie 20 million times, but unless you do it yourself, you won't realize it. So the main thing in my training is getting people in the habit that it's pretty easy to reach out to people, connect, follow up with them, start a conversation in a genuine way. But people really get a lot of anxiety about this. They overanalyze way too much.
Yeah, like sometimes on LinkedIn I get these, like you're saying, these template messages, and that really makes me laugh because this is somebody I don't even know, and like, can you please recommend me? I'm like, who are you? So, so I think people sometimes treat LinkedIn as a typical sales pitching
Right.
place, which is why it's kind of earned like a bad rap. But there are people like you say, like you, who are doing it right. So I think it's important to connect with the right people on LinkedIn, right? I mean, kind of do your research and figure out who can be a good partner for you.
Yeah, I mean, there's things that you have pretty much control over everything, right? So if like Frank the Creep wants to connect to you on LinkedIn, you don't have to accept their connection, right? I mean, you have control over who you accept as a connection. The other thing you have control over is who you reach out to. So, if you've got a million connections and you realize at the end of the day, none of them are really the type of people that you want to associate with, build a relationship with, or do business with, you've just been really accepting connections and making random connections to people that really aren't going to benefit you professionally. So again, remember, it's important to remember that you have control over all these things, and if you realize you're not where you want to be, then you got to start, taking control of those things and practicing some good habits, maybe being more selective, maybe not accepting, every single person that wants to connect to you and things like that. So, that's really, the onus is really on us, right?
Right. I guess I think it's common across all social media platforms, is that a lot of people are interested in talking about themselves when they don't realize that listening to others and asking questions will get you more, mutually beneficial relationships, instead of just saying, this is what I can do for you. Ask people what you can do for them. So I think, would you agree with that? Like, ask questions and listen to people instead of just
Yeah, because look, in selling, I posted something a long time ago. It's one of my best posts I had, and I use it in a lot of presentations. I have a screenshot. But I posted something that said, as a salespeople reminder, the more the prospect is talking, the more you're selling, right? So if you have an appointment, if you just have a 30-minute appointment with a decision maker, and the decision maker maybe says, again, I'm guilty of this too. This is something that we all have to practice on, because a lot of us are passionate about what we do, and we can already see where we can help that person. But let's say I'm meeting with you, Prathika, and we're having a discussion about LinkedIn. You say, and right in like the first 5 minutes of our conversation, you say, I'm really having trouble with LinkedIn, and then I jump, yeah, because LinkedIn can do this, LinkedIn can do that. You like lasers like Star Wars to me, And then next thing I know, I'm talking for like 25 minutes, and you're like, you know what, Yuhannes, a lot of great information, but I gotta go. What did I learn about you when I was running my mouth for 25 minutes? Yeah. So that's why asking questions. How can you sell anything if you haven't heard that person's case? If you haven't, LinkedIn, but what about LinkedIn? Are you trying to market on LinkedIn? Are you having trouble just connecting? So I've got to ask the right questions, and I've got to train myself to zip it and listen to you talk and get all that great information. So the same thing with LinkedIn. That's why I ask a lot of questions. I want to learn as much as I can about you. Maybe there is no opportunity. Maybe you're already pretty good, and I can just give you a couple tips and send you on your way.
But you never know. Yeah.
Unless I hear your case and take the time to read your profile and do research about your business and your experience and where you're coming from. So, information is power. So part of that power is paying attention to the information that's on people's LinkedIn profiles and learn how to read between the lines and connect the dots. And then, chatting it up with that person and listening to their story and listening to them talk. And then you can come in and offer, something of value. Again, if you don't know the case, how can you offer something of value or no? I may say, look, I can offer you LinkedIn sales training, your whole time is, look, I'm marketing. Marketing is my issue.
Right.
If I didn't give you the chance to express that, then I'm saying the wrong thing. I'm giving you the wrong message. And even though I could be the guy, I didn't hit it with the mark with you, and you're going to go to the next guy that listens to your story and tells you they got a marketing solution, right?
Right.
So again, it's not LinkedIn, it's people skills,
Exactly.
it's listening skills, and you're bringing that into the LinkedIn space. There's a disconnect between like LinkedIn and networking, LinkedIn and sales. If you're a great networker, you just bring those skills onto LinkedIn. You're doing the exact same thing.
Right.
If I come to you and I say, look, Kathika, here's my business card. Oh yeah, and then I go to the next person. I never follow back up with you. Guess what that is? That's the same thing in LinkedIn when people just send you off that generic message. That's your handshake, not personal. Didn't look you in the eye, and then I never see you again. I just move on to the next person.
Yes, I think the problem is people are so obsessed with like instant gratification. They don't realize that, businesses are created. It's more of a long-term thing. It's more of a thing that happens over a period of time. It's not something, and that's why sales has earned a bad rap, because we're so used to people just wanting to sell products at that moment instantly, and you're like, dude, back off, So
in order to be a salesperson on LinkedIn, you're not going to survive. You might as well just keep it door to door. Don't come on LinkedIn. So.
Thank you.
Yuhannes, so quick question. Well, I want to take a little bit of a step back. So tell me how you came across LinkedIn and why you thought that this might be a good platform for you.
Yeah, so like everybody else, I signed up for everything I could back in the social media gold rush days, right? That's probably the early to mid 2000s, where everybody was signed up for Facebook, and everybody signed up for Twitter, and everybody probably then signed up for LinkedIn, and just to say that you were signed up for all those things. So I got on, I started blasting out. This is around 2008. I got on, I just started blasting out connection requests to people and just building connections that way. Then when I left my full-time job and was running my business full-time in 2010, in my world, in the commercial cleaning space, you need to get in front of commercial property managers that manage those buildings to get those cleaning opportunities. They're the ones that take the bids for the building. But guess what? Everybody's trying to solicit the property managers. Cleaning companies call them over the phone. They get spammed emails. So I was kind of using LinkedIn when nobody was really using it at that time to connect to them and then build a relationship and then stay top of mind and then get invited to bidding opportunities. So I was using it there. And slowly, as I would talk to people about LinkedIn around 2010, around 2011, other than connecting, nobody really knew what to do with it. So that's when the entrepreneur. We good? Are we recording still? James, you guys are on mute.
Yes, I don't know what happened. I'm sorry.
That's okay. I think we lost the connection. So
yeah.
So I was using LinkedIn around 2012, or I started learning to link around 2012, and an intent was really for me to teach B2B sales professionals and entrepreneurs how to use it, how to use it as a tool to gain sales without all the salesy tactics we talked about before.
Right. Cool. Okay, so let's jump in. Sorry, that never happened before on this show. I don't know what's going on, but I don't know if I lost the internet or what. But okay, so jumping back into LinkedIn, what are some? So you decided to use LinkedIn as a social media platform of choice. What was some of the key learnings, and what are some tips that you can give people, give our audience today, to use to kind of get to know LinkedIn, maybe a little bit of LinkedIn 101, like when you're setting up your LinkedIn profile, here are maybe 2 or 3 things that you'll want to do differently on LinkedIn than you would on some of the other social media platforms. So if you can give us a little bit of LinkedIn 101, that would be awesome.
Yeah, sure. Now, if you're starting with the LinkedIn profile, Just first, I think taking a step back and understanding what the LinkedIn. So Facebook, I'm not on Facebook, but it's more of a social thing. You got, you're like in your speedos or your bikini, or you got a picture of you like in your kids. Excuse me. You have a picture of you and your kids and all that good stuff, and it's nothing. It says if you're married, your age, and all that stuff. So it's more social information. Twitter is like a picture, like a little blurb, it says like, owner, entrepreneur, dad, cyber freak or whatever, and then it's got like a link to your website. It's not really that much information. Now let's compare and contrast the LinkedIn profile. Professional photo, a headline of what you do, and tons of information starting with your summary, where people sometimes have 2 or 3 paragraphs about, them being the greatest thing since sliced bread, and they're talking about themselves, and then you've got all their experience and work history, you've got recommendations, their skills, organizations that they're involved with, certification. So it's a lot more professional information and more information on that person to help you out. So if you're trying to learn a lot about your prospects professionally, where they've been, how long they've been in their industry, what current company that they're with, that's why you want to be on LinkedIn. So let's flip it to you. Let's start with the head. Photos got to be professional. Still a couple of weirdos out there that don't have a photo, but you got to have a photo, a nice photo of yourself, because many people nowadays are coming across you on LinkedIn first. They've never met you in person. So if I'm looking to do business with you in a professional capacity, then that photo is like that first impression that I have of you, whether you're a professional, whether you're an amateur or not. So that photo's got to be right. Second thing is going to be your headline. Instead of having, if you look at my headline, it does not say owner at Learn to Link. That's what most people have, right? CEO at ABC company, sales manager or whatever. Turn that headline to more of a value statement. I help small business entrepreneur, blah, blah, blah. CEO at ABC company. You can still put your title, but you got to have a value statement coupled with a title so that instantly people know who you help. Do you help people like me? When I come to your profile, I help people just like you, right? So that already's got me interested. It's just like an article. If you have a boring, if you ever notice, if you're on Google nowadays, you get all these, like, doesn't matter what website you're on, you get all these like weird things about like Kim Kardashian, all these weird articles pop up at the bottom with these, 20 celebrities who used to be on death row before they became famous. You get all these, like, the title is like so captivating. Like, what's this all about? You go in there, it's like the dumbest article in the universe, but the headline is what captures you, right? They have a picture of like James Fierce on there. This guy used to be an inmate. Find out why. Like, oh, shoot, James used to be an inmate. It's like, this guy into back in like 1985, right? So
it's like BuzzFeed articles.
Like, so captivating. You end up, like I said, the article ends up being like so dumb. So you have to remember your headline is what grabs people. A lot of people are guilty of not reading everything on the profile. They don't scroll all the way down. But but they definitely won't click on your profile if you have a boring title that leads them to click into your profile and see what you're all about. So the title has to be captivating and geared towards your target audience. I'm not on LinkedIn to be recruited. I don't want a job. I'm not on there to help people that have a retail candy shop, or if you sell clothes. Those aren't the people that I help. My target audience are professionals, organizations, and entrepreneurs in the B2B space. So that's who I've written my profile for. So if you're a recruiter, you're not going to see anything interesting on there. If you've been cold calling, telemarketing, and door knocking, you're going to find something real interesting on there, because I'm telling you a way to get sales without doing that. So your headline needs to speak to your target audience. Next thing is you need to have an engaging summary section. The summary section should be in first person, and it should be, you need to imagine yourself, if you are having a conversation with your ideal client right in front of you, you're talking directly to them. So if you look at my profile, it feels like I'm talking directly to you. And I'll give you a great example. My profile starts out saying, I think it says, nowadays social media feels like your new part-time job. And then I have in parentheses, as if you didn't already have enough to do. It was like, you read that, and you're like, I'm in sales, I got to beat my quota, but now my boss is telling me I got to be on LinkedIn, and I'm doing this at night. So social media feels like everybody's new part-time job that they're struggling with. And so I begin my LinkedIn summary section by being very relatable and talking directly to you. So you have to have an engaging summary section that kind of explains who you are, what you help with, what's your point of view on this, challenges you help the organizations overcome, and things like this. So engaging and personable summary section, and that can take a while, and that's something that keeps evolving based on your goals as well. Keywords also need to be relevant both in your title and your summary section, and then taking the time to get those recommendations. If I don't know you, if you're on the I'm here in the DC metro area, if you're on the West Coast, you may not have anybody to reach out and ask for a personal reference. So if you think about it, if you apply for a job, what do they always ask for? 3 what? References, right?
Yeah,
Doesn't matter how good your GPA is, how good all your resume. Look, they still want 3 references. So it doesn't matter how nice your photo is and how clever you are with all the other stuff. People want to see social proof. They want proof. So if you look at my profile, I have over 160 something recommendations, not endorsements, not skill endorsements, but written recommendations on my profile where people are saying, he helped me with this, he did this, he's a great trainer. So by having a lot of credible recommendations and taking the time to do that, because these things take time, but it's like, you'll get the benefit when you take the time to do this. Like you and I talked about, James, instant gratification. The recommendations are something you have to go back, you have to manually ask people for the recommendations, but when you get them, it gives you a lot of credibility. And when that prospect is looking at your profile, well, it's one thing when you say you're the greatest thing since sliced bread. When you got 20 other people saying you're the greatest thing since sliced bread, that means something. And that makes that prospect want to reach out to you and say, you know what, I like what I see. Now I'm interested in talking to you about what you can do for me. So that's where you need to start on the profile. Last thing I will say is put some engaging visuals on the profile to break up all the text monotony.
Oh, so you can do that. You can actually add visuals into the profile as well. You can add images.
Photos, PDFs. If you look at my profile, I have about 6 videos in my profile that you can watch. I'm giving away on LinkedIn and all that stuff. So yeah, and they're nicely, if you can help it, nicely branded. You'll see a lot of branded, well-branded materials. My videos, they have my face. I got somebody to do it. So you spend the money, you're going to get the ROI. It doesn't have to be expensive, but again, the better you can brand those visuals, that multimedia, the better it's going to be.
Yeah, actually, can you hear me? Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you.
Okay, cool. I actually came across a couple of extremely creative resumes using videos. I mean, you look at that profile and it just stands out, I mean, it takes time, but it's so well worth it. And
correct. It takes time, but it's like anything. You put the time in, it's very well worth it. And you have to think now, LinkedIn is one of the biggest. LinkedIn used to kind of be like the social media stepchild, right? It's like, okay, we're big on Twitter, we're big on Facebook, we're big on, Pinterest or whatever, and it's like, oh, then LinkedIn's over there. But now, I think in terms of America's social media, I think LinkedIn is number 3. So you have Facebook with, billions, of course, and you got, I think you have,
Google Plus comes second, and then it's LinkedIn.
I think Google Plus actually has the most one, right behind Facebook, actually.
Yes.
I do because there's so many Google users, so they kind of won that second spot by default. So it's Facebook, Google Plus, then it's LinkedIn with 300, and I think they probably have about 350 million professionals on, which is quite a feat because if you think about Twitter and Facebook, you're talking about grandmas and grandpas, and you got like a bunch of kids that are below 20. So with LinkedIn having 350 million professionals, it's a targeted market. You're not going to come across kids and high schoolers and curse words. So it's pretty amazing that they're now at 350 million. But my point was with 350 million professionals on there, now and there's more people posting now, more people are starting to get it. It's getting more competitive. So now you really have to have a strategy to carve out your niche and get that recognition.
Right. I mean, I'm learning a lot about LinkedIn, and I want to kind of have like dedicated 2 months just to kind of get into it. But what I'm learning is, regardless, I look at LinkedIn as kind of like a business social kind of thing, a more professional, of course, more professionally oriented. So even if you are on the other social networks, it definitely pays to be on LinkedIn just for professional purposes. So if you are professional, I think it's almost a must to be on LinkedIn, because that's the one that really establishes you as an authority. That's the one that gets you the references, the recommendations, and all the cool things that he talked about. So regardless of what other social platforms you like, I think they have a very different language, a very different etiquette, a very different audience. This is completely targeted, and it's completely professionally driven. So I think if you're a professional, and if you're an entrepreneur especially, you have to be on LinkedIn and learn how to do it right. Learn how to do it right, yes. Otherwise it could affect your authority.
Yeah, no, I mean, like it is for the professional side. So James, if I want to see you in your speedos, I'm going to connect with you in Facebook, right? But if I want to see all the great things you're doing as far as these Google Hangout events and some of the things you're doing professionally, and I want you to see the things I'm doing in the professional space. Again, not pictures of me and my kids on vacation and we visiting the Grand Canyon. That's for Facebook. But if I want to see what you're doing professionally, some of the people that you've helped, I want to look at your recommendations, get a feel for where you've been, in your professional experience. And one thing that I noticed is that you've been at some, I think 3M, and then you had jumped to this entrepreneurship thing. And again, that was part of what we talked about during our first conversation. So the information from the LinkedIn profile is going to feed and help generate the right type of conversation when you get on the phone with that person or when you meet that person face to face. The goal is not to have 500 LinkedIn connections forever. The goal is to see how quickly you can take a LinkedIn connection and turn it into a real working relationship. You and I are on different coasts, so you can't meet and have Starbucks and have a frappiato mocha latte with everybody, but you can Skype it up nowadays, you can Google Plus it up nowadays. You and I talked on the phone first, so it's still about that human element and using all the technological tools we have these days to build a relationship. A lot of my clients are overseas. I have clients in Belgium and Australia. I've never met them face to face, but we do business. They've been able to look at me from another continent and look at my stuff on LinkedIn, and it makes sense. I have something of value to offer, and we need to chat. We Skype it up. Just because you can't meet face to face and shake hands doesn't mean you can't build a relationship. And I think that's something that sometimes the older generation, the handshake generation, they have a little trouble understanding. It's like, oh yeah, in my day, when I wanted to do something, we didn't even sign the contract. We did a handshake deal, So, I went, I sat down with him, I talked to him, but Skyping has the same effect. So you have to be open to the new tools, even texting. Some people you can't even reach them. You can't reach them by email. You can't reach them by phone. Yeah. But if you text them, they'll text you back in like 0.5 seconds. So you have to use whatever means. Yeah, there you go. So
I'm a texter.
My brother will like curse me for not picking up the phone, but if he sends me a YouTube link on text, he'll like, but did you watch the YouTube video? And, he texts me. Sometimes that's better because I'm in meetings. So it's available to build a relationship. Sometimes I might talk to you on Monday. I'll interact with you on LinkedIn on Tuesday. I'll text you a funny little message on Wednesday, and I might Skype you on Friday. And then I'm using every tool available to me to really build that relationship with you in every space. So don't get LinkedIn tunnel vision. Don't get Facebook tunnel vision. Don't get Google Plus tunnel vision.
Any kind of social
every available tool to build that relationship. If you end up texting somebody at 11 o'clock at night and they respond to you, you're building a great relationship because now you have somebody you barely knew. Now you're texting at 11 o'clock. That's the meaning of building a relationship. Now you're somebody you barely knew like a week ago. If you can text somebody that late at night, you're going to be doing business with them. You're building that rapport. You're now close to them. You can't text it. Number one, everybody doesn't give you their cell phone number, right? And everybody doesn't trust you enough to give you their cell phone. They might give you their work number. They won't give you their cell. So if they give you their cell and you give me access to them, and they're texting you on the weekend, and you're building that relationship, and you're getting ready to do business. So my whole thing is, you know, I don't really look at myself as a LinkedIn expert. I look at myself more as a relationship strategist, and I get my business opportunities from building the right relationships the right way. Even James, you and I got introduced through Christine, which again, we built a relationship and we met a long time ago, and she's kept up with me on LinkedIn, and she introduced me to you, and that's why I'm here, you know, Googling with you fine folks today. Relationships. I didn't sell her anything. I didn't sell you guys anything, but I'm here. So again, building relationships and having a strategy using LinkedIn as a platform to more effectively build more relationships with people professionally around the world is very powerful if you understand the strategy behind it and how to do it.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah,
You
hey,
just you placed it so well.
yeah, I love that. Be very strategic with what you're doing. So I want to get in just as we're closing here, Johannes. I want to give you the opportunity to tell us a little bit about the services that you offer. So what is it? What is if somebody wants to do business with you? What does that look like? What are some of the services that you offer, and how can people find you?
Well, the first thing is I only take large sums of money in $100 bills and closed, you know, black suitcases. So that's the first thing you gotta understand if you're dealing with me, right? So no, I think one thing I have to be better of, because people always see me posting all these crazy things on LinkedIn, is that the majority of my clients are small business owners and individual and employed sales professionals. They see a lot of the team trainings I do and things like that, but I'd probably say 70% of my business is doing one-to-one, training session. I have a lot of one-to-one training programs for sales professionals where we use GoToMeeting, which, if you know, it's a virtual, meeting tool, and I can see your computer screen and you can see my computer screen, just like a Google Hangout or Skype, and we do the training session over virtually, because again, most of my clients are not in the DC metro area nowadays. So my programs are structured so that the everyday working sales professional can afford them. For some reason, a lot of people say, well, do you do one-to-one sessions? I do mostly one-to-one sessions. The mortgage guy, the guy from ADP, from Paychex, you're selling payroll services, you're selling web services, consulting services. It's mainly one-to-one. Additionally, I train on quite a few sales teams on using LinkedIn so they can have more warm phone calls during the day, not make so many cold calls, and teach them how to generate more sales opportunities and appointments and reach more decision makers with LinkedIn. So again, it's a virtual business pretty much. Now sometimes I go to the customer site. If they pay to fly me out there, drive me out there, it's in the DC Metro, and I do the team training on site. But it's mostly become a virtual business. Last thing about, if it's virtual, I record my session. So after the session, you get a video recording of our hour-long session, so you can go back and watch it in case you need to reference something. And it's built to have a lot of value, and again, it's for the average everyday working professional as well as B2B sales teams.
Oh yeah, that's great, Johannes. So if people want to get in contact with you, how can they get in touch with you?
Waving a big bag of money. If you want to get me on Skype and you just like wave a couple $100, that'll get my attention pretty fast. But if you don't have large wads of money to wave in front of the camera, the best way to get in contact with me, I'm gonna even see if I have I don't even barely use business cards anymore, but I'll hold it up here real quick. It's Yuhannes, my first name, YUHANNES at learn2link.com. Best thing to also do is please connect with me on LinkedIn. You can last name is Watts, W-A-T-T-S, so last name's a little easier. You can learn a lot just from connecting with me and kind of watching how I operate on LinkedIn.
I'm there.
And I already sent you a connection request on LinkedIn as well. So
I'm so excited now. I've never been excited about LinkedIn before, but
within
now
24 hours. No problem. I had to call my man James on the West Coast and come and take care of you. So.
But you live in DC, right? I used to live in DC.
Yeah, I live in Northern Virginia, so I'm about 25. I live in Fairfax.
Oh, okay. I used to work at Fairfax. My parents still live in Maryland.
Okay, yeah,
I
so
went to University
I'm
of
on
Maryland,
the
so
VA
yeah.
side of DC. So
Small world. Small world.
small world, very small
Well,
world.
you know what, guys? It's that time. So normally, what I like to do is ask our panel, and since the panel is just Kit and I, Kit, any closing words, any closing thoughts, words of wisdom, takeaways from today's show? What you got?
Build relationships. That's my biggest takeaway. Don't focus on the number, focus on the quality of your relationships. And social media, please, it's just a platform. It's not the end. So use it to take your connections offline or whatever, Skype, Google Plus, texting, whatever is best for you. And get intimate with the people that you want to connect with, because that's like what they say, like 80% of your business comes from 20% of the people. So build your tribe. That tribe is only going to get you to places, not the number. Not everyone is Hana or whatever. Just build your tribe and be authentic and genuine. And I'm for sure going to connect on LinkedIn. I'm getting the first time I'm actually excited about LinkedIn. So thank you for that.
Awesome.
Do I get some type of check and compensation for getting you excited about LinkedIn for the first
If
time?
you get my husband, you can please adopt him. And also my puppy, if you want. Take them both.
So, Johannes, closing thoughts? Any last piece of
I think
tip? Or
it was over there, writing down her final words so she could take the spotlight from all of us. She pretty much said it all. I'll just add to what she already said is, building great relationships, at least on LinkedIn. It's about quality versus quantity, and reaching out one-to-one and reaching out to the right people, with the people you'd like to do business with, and being personable and being authentic, and making sure that, when you reach out to them, you got to state your case. You got to have a case. You got to have something of value. You got to have a strong reason for them to actually want to follow back up with you and speak to you. So use LinkedIn more judiciously, understand who you're connecting to, and understand how to start that conversation. And even if business doesn't happen tomorrow, which it usually doesn't, learn how to keep building that relationship, keep showing value, and make the person want to do business with you.
I love it. Hey, we have a shout out from our audience, from our dream audience. Carmen, shout out Carmen. Thanks for watching. Thanks for being such a great audience member. You're always there with us. We really appreciate it. So thank you so much, Yuhannes, for all the information and sharing your knowledge. Wonderful show, Jim and Kritika with the dream audience. If I wave a bag of money from across the Atlantic, you will see it.
I will. Do it like the Batman sign. Just project it up in the air, and I'm gonna find it. Don't worry, I'm gonna find you.
Yeah, Carmen is in Spain, I'm pretty sure. So
I got somebody just reached out to me from Spain last week. We Skyped it up, and I'm waiting to hear back from him. So I can speak Spanish, and we can do it. So let's go.
Awesome. Great. Well, hey, thank you, Dream Audience, for tuning in once again. We know you've got a lot of choices. There are a lot of different things you could be doing, and we sure appreciate the fact that you're spending some of your valuable time with us. We always try to bring the value add to our show. Thank you, Yuhannes, so much for joining us today. Great show, great tips, worth every bit of that 500K that people are going to be sending you for today's show. So take care.
The price went up during the show, so we'll talk about it.
Exactly. Next week we have Amber Wright with us. She's going to be telling us about how you can improve your communication anywhere from the bedroom to the boardroom. So it should be really good. So check us out next week with Amber Wright, and take care, guys. We'll see you next week.